Hey guys, welcome back to the Mind Body Broadcast with Austin and Marty. And today we are going to do something a little bit fun. I mean, hopefully you guys like this. We are going to talk about a couple things that Marty and I have improved upon so far in 2019. So this is a topic that we were throwing around a little bit. Um, I know some people, they express their interest in kind of the back end stuff as far as like what we think about as coaches and how we try to get better. Because I think at a point you're learning information in terms of your skill set, learning how to set up training programming and nutrition and then the more intricate stuff, refeeding, and you get experience with all that stuff. But there's a lot of other things that we look at that we try to improve upon, whether it's from a business standpoint or from you know, our services, our coaching service. So we're going to talk about two things each and have some discussion on that. Hopefully you guys aren't bored to death.
If they're being bored to death, then the listening rate would have dropped so far. So thank you, everyone, for listening and not thinking that we're boring you to death.
Yeah, not yet. Currently, we're still on the upswing, so that's good.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, man, I'll let you take the first stab at it. How about you drop your first one in there?
Sure. So one of the things that I have definitely improved upon in terms of how I wield my ability to coach would be learning more about habits. There was a book that I've talked about a little bit here and there, but it was very recently was called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And as funny as we might think it'd be to be habits, yes, make better habits. Well, sure, that's kind of a foundational aspect of, we'll say, any kind of fitness endeavor, life endeavor, coaching endeavor, goal endeavor, is to make better habits or break bad habits. But the way that this book kind of surmised everything was just so excellent in terms of making things such as habit stacking, or just showing me how to help start new better habits towards your goals. Because, and one of the quotes was something along the lines of, it's not never your goals, or it's your systems and your habits that will make or break the goal. It's never your willpower that will get you there. It's your habits that will get you there. Just the way that James worded it in his book was really kind of we'll say coach or life altering in that way, because it's something so simple that just, and it's been able to help my clients as well. Is it's something like, let's say if you really suck at not being able to remember your vitamins in the morning, or let's the easiest one, the one that stuck out for me was probiotics. Was if it's how I start my day. As I wake up, I take my probiotic with water first thing in the morning. And so I was finding I was skipping it a little bit because it was hidden in the cupboard. So I literally have it right next to my sink in my bathroom. So when I wake up, my probiotics right there. I have a cup with water and the probiotics right next to my sink. So that's the first thing that I do in the morning. So, and because people, and that exact example is one I've heard so many times, is how do I not get this? And it's habits. We have to continuously not be relying upon just our memory or our willpower to be able to do a lot of these things. So such as, you make it a habit to go to the gym at 6:30 at night, or make it a habit to go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning if that's your jam, to get up and go do that. But making things habitual is such a key, especially for, everyone talks about routine, especially for your routines. Everyone says that, like, when you, especially for contest prep, my gosh, you got to have things so down to the T in terms of organizing your time, organizing your food preparation, organizing your training time, organizing your cardio time if you're doing any, organizing your time to go to the grocery store and things like that. So not only time management, but the time management will all come from your habits. Like, when do you go do your grocery shopping? Do you go do your grocery shopping on Sunday mornings and you do your meal prep on Sunday nights? Do you do it on Fridays? Do you do it here? Do you do it twice a week? Do you have different things like that? And so making it dummy proof like that by setting up these little systems and habits for yourself can make or break your entire we'll say fitness progression. So just being able to say some little tips and tricks like that to my clients has really kind of changed everything that I was what I was coaching, because not necessarily just being like, well, just remember, just put an alarm in your phone. Well, that's a habit though. If you have these alarms that go on every day in your phone, like I started using my planner even more in my iPhone. My iPhone is like, I have every Monday, it says Monday 11 a.m. record Mind Body Broadcast, and then that's just, I make it habitual, right? So me and you now, we have that system going that we always do it. So it's 11 a.m. my time, 1 p.m. your time. And I just always associate now with Monday and Mind Body Broadcast. I didn't even realize that there's alliteration for it, whatever, right? So yeah.
Something funny about that is I was having a discussion with someone about habits, and habits can take a really long time to form, but they get harder as you get older, right? You get more, because we learn differently, and we get stuck in our ways. And there's little things that we might want to improve in our fitness endeavor, or if you're a serious competitor, could be something very simple. Sleep. Okay. There's one.
Right.
Sleep is largely habit related, right? I mean, sleep time, when you wake up, when you go to bed, what you do before you go to bed, all those things. And that's all about habits. And while you could do everything else, you could be the best habit former, have all kinds of good habits. You meal prep every Sunday, you package all your supplements up in your divider, and you go to the gym same exact time, but maybe your sleep habits are really bad and you just can't seem to get it down. So, my point is that, like, having a skill like that, or having a resource like that, or you as a coach being able to give some insight rather than just say, do it.
Yeah.
That to me seems like a great, of great benefit. I think it's something that would definitely be beneficial. There's stuff, I can't think of one thing, like literally everything. I'm super routine. Everything that I would possibly want to improve would be habit related. I would have to form a habit. Mm-hmm. Have to. You know what I mean? Because anything at this point in my life, like any skill or anything, it takes repetition to learn and improve at. So it's going to require a habit for sure. 100%. I like that. That's a good one.
He was talking about too in the book, like I can't recommend this book more, because I probably read it at the tail end of 2018, so I'm kind of tacking this on to 2019. I was kind of going off of the things I've improved upon in the last year or so, but I very rarely now will buy the physical copy of books. I'll use the Amazon app called Audible, and I will download and I'll listen to the books. But I bought the physical copy of this book as well because it had guides, it had sheets and things inside of it, and just being able to visualize the actual system of it too. Like I said, he talks about habit stacking, where it's like you can, like if you have a habit of brushing your teeth, well then you can put the probiotic bottle next to the sink, because then you're already in the habit of brushing your teeth. Well, now you can just stack that habit on top. And such a thing as, like, it's like almost like leaving the keys in your phone or whatever, or your wallet in a dish on the counter. Like, that's something I started to be really, really more attentive to too, because I always lose my phone keys and wallet. Where are they? So now I have this big dish on my counter where that's, as soon as I come home, I leave them all there. And as soon as I go out, I know that's exactly where I need to go, as opposed to trying to sift through that stuff, because I'm not going to, my memory is just, for immediate term memory is what I call it, it's just not there. And then the other thing he was talking about was breaking bad habits, because that's how many people have tried to quit smoking. How many people have tried to quit going out for food at this time? How many people have tried to stop snacking at nighttime? Well, he uses the one example of TV watching or something like that. He said, okay, so make it hard for yourself. So when you're done watching TV, he said put the remote in a drawer away from the TV. So now you have to make it harder. And he said, okay, then take the batteries out of the remote. Okay, and then the extreme was putting the TV in a different room. So I know it was exactly, it was so funny to watch, because then make it so that this habit that you have is just going to be that much harder to do, and so therefore you're going to break that habit. It's the same thing as, like, especially for the nighttime eating thing. Like, if you know that around, let's say 7:00 is when you start wanting to eat a bunch of junk food or something like that, or then you can schedule maybe a walk with a friend, or going to going to some event or to a club with a friend at 7 o'clock at night or something. Just starting those new routines and those new habits can just make or break your plan. It seems so simple, but the way that James laid it out just really kind of revamped the way that I think about these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I think well, at first you mentioned forming habits, but the breaking habits, hell, that might be that might be even more difficult.
Yep, I would venture to say that breaking the bad habit would be, I would say, more difficult, and for myself personally, yeah.
And if you think about it, most of the new habits that you're forming, if you want to improve something, require breaking an old habit. Unless you're introducing something that's entirely new. But for us, like in our industry, if most of the time we're trying to improve something. So we probably have to break an old habit normally, so that's cool. I like that. And you said totally random, but the cell phone wallet keys, I went straight to, have you seen that Adam Sandler rap? He does the stand up. That song?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness! If you guys haven't seen that, it's hysterical.
It's worth it. Okay, got it.
It's hilarious. just as a fun little plug there. But I'll go on to. Okay, so I'll go into my first one here. One that I had down was outsourcing things as a coach, and by that I mean other side services. So things like posing, or if somebody has muscular pains or joint issues or, some kind of problem in that area, outsourcing to somebody that's a very good therapist that can, help diagnose and help treat. And there's other examples, but here's the thing with a lot of that is that I'm very much of the problem solver type, and I've prided myself in that. But I think at the same time too, while I might be able to solve a problem, it might take me 10 times as long to do it. And it's just not an efficient process. And there's somebody out there that can do it a lot quicker and probably do it better, just because they specialize in that. Right. Mm-hmm. So, it seems to me, if you really want your client to be the best they can possibly be, that you can't be afraid to outsource things. I mean, I could absolutely sit and do Skype sessions on posing and stuff with people, but guess what? That's not what I do all the time. And there are people out there that they do it so much that they're very fluid and efficient at it. They pick up on all the little things. It just makes sense to outsource in that case. And Marty, I'm sure you'll chime in with some other examples too, but I would say that's probably one of the primary examples. Then also the, in terms of like the therapy options, now with Skype and, or Zoom or whatever video apps people use, there's actually a lot of really good, therapists out there that you can do sessions with, and I can think of a couple off the top of my head, that you can actually go through, and they'll run you through exercises and certain ranges of motion, and they can diagnose certain joint issues and muscular imbalances and give you, a routine to correct those things. And I mean, yeah, it's going to take me, I'll look at training videos, I'll look at exercise videos, I'll break down little things like that. But beyond that, I'm not a physical therapist. That's not my scope.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I can sit and try to play that, of course. I mean, but that's not my job. And secondly, when you start getting into issues, the more serious the issue gets, I also feel that, to me, it's like just a professionalism thing and a liability thing that I don't think it's right for me to necessarily say yes or no, do this or do that. And especially when we're talking about health concerns, I definitely will go into it. I'll say, hypothetically, this, and this, but I really want you to talk to your doctor about it, or talk to or I might even have specialists that I know off the top of my head that I'm going to refer them to, go talk to this person with their medical license and, whatever. So again, lots of examples there, but I think outsourcing as a coach is not a bad thing. I don't think that makes you incompetent as a coach at all. I just think that it rounds out your resources. It rounds out your repertoire as a coach. It makes your services better, because at the end of the day, your goal is you are the mainstay for this client. Like, you are the main person. Your goal is to make them the best they can possibly be, regardless of how you get there. I mean, is really irrelevant. It's just, if you have a team of people, I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with it. I have certain people that I like for certain things, and that's fine. I have no problem outsourcing. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's going to make my client the best they can be.
Yeah. Perfect example. I remember when I first started learning about that, and it was, I think it was John Goodman was the one that put out the quote, was buying back your time. And especially because we have such a finite amount of time in order to be able to respond to clients, to be able to put out new information, to be able to jump on there. Like, I even had this hilarious idea that, no one would watch it, but like there might be one or two people that would end up watching it for the whole time, if they would ever watch it for the whole time. But set up a camera and say, what does an online coach do during the day? And it might not be glamorous, but like this is beyond a full-time job in terms of like being able to post to Facebook, post to Instagram, coming up with ideas to write about, coming up with the topics for the podcast, coming up with being able to put the podcast up. Like, this stuff all takes time. It's not just responding to clients. There's so much more to this. And then there's filing your taxes. There is making sure that payments come in and come out at the right time, making sure that your programming time is set aside, right? Making sure that our training time is set aside. So the more that you can delegate or outsource, like you said, I remember when I was first learning about this, like hiring business coaches, because then that would, not only would I hire them and pay them for their time to help manage my time, because it was getting out of control. There's been at least 3 times that I can think of where I became either overwhelmed and then you can't be an expert in everything. Like you said, like it's you can be a generalist, which I like to think I'm sure that you know how to pose people, Lawson. I'm sure you do, and I know how to pose people as well.
Right.
But am I the best at it? No. And there's others that are better at it, but they're also, and that's the whole reason why we as coaches are hired, is that over the years we get this collective or this team of people that are able to help us, right? Because it's just like I use the one of the examples that myself and one of my coaches use is either your Dungeons and Dragons or your Final Fantasy party, right? You have the warrior, you have the healer, you have the spellcaster, you have the support person. Is that you need all these people so that, like, by the time that you wind up at show day, and the perfect example is being a competitor, even though it's an individual sport, as in you are the one that's out there posing and flexing and winning the shows, but there's so much more behind it. There is your hair and makeup person. There is your posing person. There is your coach. I know some people will have a diet coach and they'll have a different training programming coach. Then there is your suit person. Then there is your physical therapist. Then there is your psychologist, for God's sake. There could be everything. Like, if I didn't have my accountant, if I didn't have my insurance person, if I didn't have my investment person, if I didn't have my my buddy here who helps me out with renting out my condo and things like that, like I would be lost. So I'm very happy you said that, because I remember that would be the one thing I would, and I mean that, the one thing. I know everyone says that, like, what's the one thing you would have told your younger self? Well, the one thing I would have told my younger self was to outsource as soon as you could earlier, and by that would have been definitely hire a business coach. And like what a tricky arena to navigate. I was just talking to one of my friends, Kathleen, about this, and she's like, Marty, who do you have for a website person? I told her who my website guy was, and she's like, oh, is he taking on new people? I said, no, unfortunately he's not, but he's that good, and he helps me out with my back end of my website. He helps me out with, like, if I need to set up a new link for something, or if I need to change something on my payment processing, or if I need help with doing any kind of the new products that I'm going to be putting out, or any kind of new information that I'm putting out. because I don't, not only do I not know how to do that stuff, but you summed it up so great too. I think you mentioned about the time it would spend on us to do that. Like, is it worth our time to do the Skype calls? Is it worth our time to go learn about an exercise and try to teach that, whereas someone knows it so much better than us? And not only that, but then how egotistical of us is it to think that we know everything? And that goes back, we've probably talked about this enough times on the podcast, that Dunning-Kruger effect is that, and I'm actually glad I went through that in my younger years, that I thought I knew everything and thought I could research everything, to the point where I'm not a massage therapist. No, I'm not a psychologist. No, I'm not an investment banker. No, I'm not a this and that. So that, and it actually will make you seem more credible, because you go, nope, that is not my scope of practice, but I have this expert that I bring in. Well, what's the primary example of this? I'm just thinking it now while I'm talking, is that Pawn Stars. You ever see that show? Like where they come into the pawn shop?
Yep.
See, exactly. And he has a guy for everything. He has a guy that knows all about electric guitars. He has a guy that knows all about antique paintings. He has got a guy, because you want to have that in your corner. And when you hire a coach, that they should be able to have that for you, and not say, oh, just find out for yourself. No, here's my posing person. Here's my suit or trunk person. Here is my hair and makeup person, if it's locally or something like that. And that is one of the best things we can possibly do, is to get out of our own way and to outsource that stuff. I couldn't possibly agree with you more.
And this is how it really clicked for me, is that I was in coming from me. It's hard because, again, I have that problem solving personality. If I don't know something, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to do it. And I feel like, again, okay, maybe I could do these things and figure these things out, but it all goes back to the client. What is going to give my client the best outcome? Not me spending a week trying to figure it out. It's going to be me telling you, hey, go to this guy, because it's going to take him 3 minutes, and you're going to be on your way, because they're awesome at it, and that's what they do every day. So yeah, definitely.
I've got one more example there too, is that one of my friends, she has actually, it's called IBD, irritable bowel disease. I've never heard of this before. I only knew of syndrome, but diseases where it's apparently a lot more serious. It's could break into something like Crohn's or colitis. And her coach at the time was going to say, I will be able to Google this and kind of find out about that. It's like, no. You want someone that's either been in the arena of colitis, IBD, or Crohn's, and knows this inside out and backwards. You don't want someone that's doing like a Google degree in this stuff. You want, especially that it sounded so serious. I said, listen, I don't know anything about this, and because she was asking my opinion on it. I said, I would find someone that is a specialist in this, and that's a perfect example of where no, like you said, even though that we could be a problem solver, and that's out of the scope of our practice, and we should be able to outsource that stuff.
Yeah. Yep, you gotta. That's a maturity thing too, as a coach, I think. Yeah, for sure. Or just as a person, I guess.
Yep, for sure.
Right on, man. Well, what do you have for us? Let's hear it.
So this one's a little bit more definitive than the kind of the last two ones we were talking about here, but I would say making cardio as easy or as enjoyable as possible, and it's just being able to word on things like this. And we talked about it too in one podcast, where you said getting yourself a piece of cardio equipment to be able to do it at your place. Like, that's the number one thing. If you've got the space, if you've got the room, you've got the means to be able to do it, having either a treadmill, an elliptical, like I know someone that's like, I know a couple people that have got steppers in their basement, like the full on step mills. And then, or a bike, being able to do the cardio, because that will, and that goes back into my habits thing there too. But making cardio as easy as possible, because, well, let's get serious. Outside of the people that go for the runner's high and enjoy the running, but usually that's more outside type of thing. Not many people will actually enjoy cardio itself. It's time consuming. It is boring in a sense, because you are literally in the same spot going. Then doing, we'll say 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, on the stepper, elliptical, treadmill is one of the things that I found. So it's podcasts. Hi, listen to us on the treadmill, and put a towel over the the timer so that it just beeps and stops at the right time, but make it as enjoyable as possible. And it's been really, really helping out not only myself, but my clients, is that make it be about you. Make it be the time that you can either find some new music or you grab a Netflix show or a TV show that you can only watch when you're doing cardio. Make it so that like you don't binge watch an entire series after you're doing the cardio. Make it so you're trying to watch the new Shark Tank. The reason why I'm saying Shark Tank is I've been watching Shark Tank lately, and it's been I love it. I think it's incredible, the entrepreneurs that are on there. But if I were to want to just watch it during cardio, it actually can somehow trick me into enjoying cardio more, or potentially, heaven forbid me say this term, look forward to cardio. So yeah, getting podcasts, getting new music. I know SoundCloud, especially because I like a lot of dance music, is that the artists will not put up on any other platform other than SoundCloud their 1 hour mixes or their 1 hour sets. So if like you're interested in an artist, they will put up an hour long, like let's say if you're at a bigger music festival, they'll put up that hour long set, and an hour long set, that's perfect. Like whether you got 30 minutes of cardio or an hour of cardio, you can just stop the set and not listen to it until you're doing your next cardio session, or a TV show, like I said. Or I use that Audible. I can't get enough value out of that Audible app by Amazon, because not only does they have access to almost every friggin' audiobook it is, but I think it's something like $13.99 or $14.99 a month, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But they give you at least one free book a month. The books are still relatively cheap after that. And you can listen to them on your phone. You can listen to them on your computer. You just put your headphones on, and that's how I get my reading in, because I know that, like, especially if you're doing intervals or something along those lines, trying to be able to read a book and be oscillating on the treadmill or the elliptical, it's gonna be friggin' hard unless you're doing some really low intensity, steady state stuff. But that's how I've got so much of my reading in, is by doing cardio. And so then therefore it's kind of two birds with one stone. So now I'm getting my cardio done, and I'm also learning, or I'm getting my mind expanded, whatever you kind of want to say about that there. But yeah, just definitely trying to make things that are crappy about this as enjoyable as possible. And definitely the thing with cardio, like finding these apps or whatever, have been just such a game changer in terms of how I've been able to help out my clients.
Yo, I like that. Yeah, I mean, shit. Anything to get you through it.
Bearable. Yeah, get it through it, right?
Yeah, you know how it goes. Before all that, I remember my probably first couple shows, we had far less options in terms of entertainment.
Oh, sure.
And it was like count backwards, count upwards, do 5 minutes, count to 60. And backwards and forward, like anything to like trick yourself into feeling like, oh, I only have 1 minute times 5 left.
Oh my God, did I ever do that too? So yeah, 5 minutes is only 5 times 1 minute. So if I just get through 5 1 minutes, and oh my God, yep.
But kind of to branch off that slightly, I know for me, not just this year in particular, but at least in the last few years, especially, as I have like the cardio modalities, different types of ways that you can accomplish cardio. And we talk about this a ton in cardio cast that we did, is I branched off. I mean, literally one of the things I ask in my consults obviously is, are you doing any cardio? What are you doing?
Yep.
Yada, yada, yada. But I try to program cardio in ways that makes the most sense for that person. So
sure,
if they have cardio equipment at home, that's great. We're going to use it, right? Of course. If someone's already doing like step tracking religiously, well, I'm going to implement that most likely somehow.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to manipulate, and it's already, and going back to your habits, like they've already have that habit. I can easily manipulate it. And it seems less tedious to them. And
sure,
if they like doing classes, like I've had especially with females that were really into the class scene at their gym, really like the HIIT classes and all that, and I wanted something more regiment that I could consistently track the variable. So guess what, I took out the bike sprints and I had them do body weight circuits.
Yes.
And we did HIIT that way, because they're like, oh yeah, I still pretty much get to do my HIIT classes that I really like, only Austin can now keep track of everything because it's consistent and perfect win-win. So stuff like that. I mean, people are so And don't get me wrong, like I have people walk on the treadmill for cardio too.
Of
Nothing
course.
wrong with that. It works. It's been working for a million years.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but my point is that there's a million and one ways that you can burn calories. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's what cardio is. It's burning calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I like that one.
I'll go into that actually a little bit more. I did like kind of an experiment. I had one of my clients, hi Ashton, is that way back in the day is she was doing interval training on an elliptical. I'm pretty sure we did like a classic, something like 10 seconds all out, 50 seconds moderate pace, repeat for the first 10 to 15 minutes or something like that. And she was like, can I try my cardio kickboxing classes? And I said, you know what? Let's do it. I said, let's take out 3 of your cardio sessions. We'll put in 3 of your 30-minute cardio kickboxing classes. And you know what happened? She started either stagnating or not gaining weight. And the reason why, not losing weight. And the reason why was because the cardio kickboxing was not to her level. She was burning way more. Not necessarily way more, but she was burning more calories during the high intensity interval training than she was at the kickboxing classes. So we unfortunately had to either move away from that, or she could do the kickboxing classes and then had to do some steady state on top of it, just because it wasn't there. Because like you said, it's not gauged, and unless the cardio kickboxing class was the exact same, like hit this bag for 10 minutes, kick this bag for 10 minutes or something like that, you're not going to be able to get the same amount of caloric burn out of it, because that's the whole point of cardio. Exactly, is that you're now moving into from anaerobic training to aerobic training, and their whole point is to liberate and burn fat. But if you don't have a gauge of how to regulate that, or how to gauge, you don't have a gauge how to be able to see how many calories you're burning, you're going to have to get after that. So I only did that experiment once, but, and I will in the beginning, especially if people are like, hey, I really like doing this class or that class. I'm like, you know what, let's keep it for now until it stops working. And unfortunately, one of the wackier things is especially ladies, they'll try to say that they like yoga and they want to have yoga be a substitute for their cardio. And I'm like, listen, you know what? There's no steps involved here. Even some of these power yogas, I believe it's called Ashtanga yoga or Ashtanga yoga. It's just not the same thing. Like we can lump this into you're getting out and doing, you're not sitting on the couch, but we cannot count this as cardio. And just trying to reframe the brain in that regard. And I'm so happy that a lot of apps now, either you can use a Fitbit, sure, but I know the iPhone, as long as you keep it on you, it will regulate and monitor your steps, which is awesome, because I'll tell you, like I have Colette, I have Paula, I've got some of my other people that they get up around 15,000, 20,000 steps a day. Whereas people like me and you, Austin, if we don't move around, we can easily only get 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day, if that, especially if we've got a really busy day in front of the computer. And that adds up in terms of not adding up in terms of caloric burn, right? So we have to be very aware of that stuff, but the technology is definitely making that a heck of a lot easier to be able to gauge in progress, because yeah, sure. And I know it's going a little bit off here, but it's definitely one of the things that I've learned in the last little bit, is that being able to use the step trackers to say like, okay, my client here, it's like, I just track it for me even for a week. Cause I want to know a week of your regular, it's almost like a food journal, but it's like an activity journal, we'll call it. And so like, let's say they're doing they're at that max end, and like at least 5 days of the week, they're doing 20,000 steps per day. Well, geez, I'm not going to be shoving more cardio on top of them. They're probably already damn good at cardio. So therefore, I'm going to be looking at taking away more food, or reducing calories or increasing caloric expenditure some other way than just adding more cardio, because they're already doing so damn much. Because now, if I add in a steady state and they're already doing 20,000 steps a day, they're already so damn efficient at it, that's not going to be burning calories the same way that it would as an office worker who's only getting in 5,000 to 8,000, if that, steps a day. So that's a really good thing that you can pay attention to too. If you're not have a coach right now or whatever, you're looking to lose weight, and you're like, oh, I'm sedentary, I'm sitting at an office job, is that you can really take a look and just carry your phone around with you everywhere, or have a Fitbit or any of these other, I forget what, I think even Android now has like a native app on their phones that you be able to track steps like that. But they're really easy. They're out there everywhere now, and just that's something you can really pay attention to.
Yeah, 100%. And that goes back to kind of like what we were saying, is do the cardio modality that makes the most sense for you.
Exactly.
Right?
I love that. I'm actually going to take that quote from you. Like, I like that. You just do the cardio modality that makes the most sense for you, because there's going to be a way to enjoy it more. Like if you exactly like do a body weight circuit or something, or like an abs. So abs are a really damn easy way to get some extra cardio in there too, because if you do like a really great, well fine-tuned ab circuit, you're going to be burning some calories and you're going to be training your abs at the same time. So there's two birds with one stone.
Yeah, it's mainly like the rules there is really just has to be something that you can track. And that's, outside of that, I mean, there's a lot of options.
Oh God, so, I remember. I'll add really quickly here at the end too. I remember training. I don't even think it was when I was training with Ken Hill, Skip, but I remember he said, he goes, I don't care if it's sex. He goes, I don't. You just get your heart rate up and keep it going and be active for a bit. He goes, now because if anything, like my sex life is not going to last that long, but at least I know I got my heart rate up and around there for a bit. And just, oh my God, did I burst out laughing? He goes, so there you go. He goes, there's your activity for the first little bit. So, but you know what? It's if I can imagine someone, if they were working in the pornographic industry and they were doing any kind of video work, like I'd say, yep, there is. You have to be able to tack that on there as activity. I was like, just like it was just something. It was on his board back in the day, Intense Muscle, and I was just losing it laughing. I was like, man, I didn't even think about that, but that makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, hell, we'll do whatever works.
Yep, whatever modality works. There we go. So that's what we're saying is get on to humping, people. Get back in it. There you go.
You heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it here. There's a from Marty's mouth. Finally, we got snuck one in.
It's funny. Oh God, is it my turn? Yeah,
you got it, buddy.
Okay, here's my second one for you guys. My second one is being more confident in my decision making, more precise, more. What's the word you used? Decisive? Is that?
Yeah, you got
yes. It. And this isn't necessarily something I've just done this year. It's something that I try to do every year. It's just get better and more efficient and more direct. And there's a couple reasons I mentioned this. One, confidence, coach being confident and direct and decisive in their decision making makes a client feel good, right? Because a confident coach and a calm coach normally reflects.
Yeah. I'm really happy you said that.
Normally, because sometimes my clients are like, you're so chill about stuff, in stressful situations, like they're like a day out and one day out and something goes wrong on their plan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, yeah, me freaking out isn't going to do you guys.
If there's two of us freaking out, how the heck is that going to be making anything better? That's going to make the client freak out more. Yeah.
Right. So I guess the decision-making thing, there's a kind of a lot of parts to that. But also, I wanted to mention this too because I feel like this is something that happens to most coaches with experience, but there's a problem with that also. And the problem is that they get complacent.
Yep. Because
they're inevitably you're going to run into a lot of the same situations repetitively. Now, you're going to run into new situations no matter if you've been doing it, a year or 10 years or 15 or 20 years. You're still going to run into new stuff occasionally, but yeah, you will run into similar things. But I feel like if you get complacent and you're just making the same calls continuously, you're going to miss things. Yep. You're going to miss things that you're going to miss details. You're going to possibly make decisions that while they might work, they might not be optimal. You may have been able to do something better. And so I think it's just important to, as you become more confident, not get complacent, make sure that you're still staying open-minded, make sure that you're not just being robotic, make sure that you're actually taking things into consideration, evaluating, recheck, double check, triple check, whatever you got to do. I still do. I mean, I still do it. I still sometimes, if there's a situation where it's something that's very pressing or something that's very important or delicate, I'll type something. Maybe I'm making a plan or something, or it's a peak week or whatever. Something important. I will type it, leave it, come back to it, look at it again, send it, type of thing. I do that all the time. So I mean, just whatever, whatever works for you. And people will have different ways to kind of keep themselves in check. But yeah, I wanted to mention that for both reasons, both positive and negative.
Yep. Yeah, I would say actually one of the things way back in the day, you look at some of I'll use the term archaic methods or methods that I kind of use that were outdated, would be something along the lines of, if someone's bowel movements were not where I wanted to be, I would just throw in Metamucil, which was, unfortunately, I haven't done this for years. I'll make sure that I put that disclaimer on there. But I remember I had a coach of my own that went and it actually made everything worse for me, because it wasn't a fiber thing. It was a micronutrient thing. And so just being able to gain that knowledge and know that it was probably my sodium by potassium levels that were off, or my magnesium levels that were off, that regulate the bowels a heck of a lot more. Like, I had this wonderful conversation with this lady on Instagram, and she was like, "Wow, I didn't know you knew a little bit about gut health." That's like, oh, I had to dive into that stuff, because I was starting to run into these problems with people that were having enough fiber, or that their soluble to insoluble fiber ratio was good, but they were still not having enough bowel movements. But then I learned that it could have been electrolytes and micronutrient levels and things like that. And so, but using and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like you said, if we get so set in our ways that, like, so someone's going, "Oh, my bowel movements are not there," it's like immediately we're going, "Okay, add in a teaspoon of Metamucil in the morning." Well, that's not, we can't keep doing it just because it's worked for a person or two or something like that. That's not going to work for everybody else. So using more critical thinking, using more deductive reasoning, I think every year I get a heck of a lot better at that. Just from case studies from clients being able to convey to me, like, their certain situations, and like knowing just how much that stress can affect bowel movements, and especially for women, knowing how much their menstrual cycles, depending upon where they're at on it, can affect their bowel movements, can affect their digestion, everything else. Like, let alone hunger. Like, I know that there's people that when they get stressed out, they pick kind of one of two options. They either want to eat everything or they want to eat nothing. So being very aware of that and asking the right questions is going to be something that's always growing over the course of this, we'll say, coaching experience that I've been kind of going into. And that even bleeds into the first thing I said about the habits then, because then when someone's not doing well with their bowel movements, they'll say, well, maybe your habit is that you need to drink more water in the morning with the probiotic or something like that. But just definitely, like you said, is just getting more decisive about these things, but also not limiting yourself to that one action. Because let's say if someone's abs sucked and you said, "Oh, well, you're probably not doing crunches right." Well, that's not going to be it. Like, it's just being able to use that, have more tools in the toolbox in that sense too, so that once you've used the screwdriver and you've used it at the right times, you're going to know more apt that when you see something, when to use the screwdriver, but not necessarily always using the screwdriver. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it's, what's ironic about that is that some people get worse with more experience, because that happens to them, the whole doing the same thing. They just, it's funny, it's not funny, but as the expression goes, it's funny because.
Mm-hmm. I use that too all the time, man. I get you.
Yeah. You see, like, you hear about a lot of like the copy and paste coach, right? That's giving out the same thing, blah, blah, blah. You see that just as much in people that have been doing it a long time, because exactly what I just said and what you just said, because they think, hey, I did this with a million other people. This is what works. This is what I'm going to give them. Here you go. Type of thing, So I kind of to round this one off, I did I think it goes along with it nicely. I was telling you I did the little IGTV video yesterday, and the two things I gave basically what I was doing is I said, I think I called the video something like how to navigate good information, how to navigate in the informational overload, because right now, there's so much. So essentially there was just a couple little tips, and I said, you want to look for people that don't speak in absolutes most of the time, and people that are open-minded, and people that are not sensationalistic about the way they talk. So, and those things all kind of tie in together, because normally things always require context, of course. And normally your most educated people they're going to tell you It depends. It depends is a crappy answer.
I was just about to bring that up as soon as you were done here, saying like the whole "it depends" complex. Yep, keep going.
Yeah. It depends is kind of a cop out for some people that really just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But it's also is true to an extent, because if you're getting someone or you're getting information from someone, or maybe you're even getting coached by someone, and it's this or this, and it's always this or this.
Yeah, it's definitive. Yeah.
That's a red flag. It's a big red flag. You need to, reevaluate, just because they're probably saying the same thing to everyone. And, again, no one's going to be the same. And I think that's, the other tip I said in there was, I think it's great when a coach has diverse client base. And that doesn't mean that they have to work with, like, somebody that's a professional soccer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some people are going to have more diversity than others, but by diversity, even if like you, for example, you work with primarily females, but you work with all different scope of females.
Absolutely.
I mean, all over the board. So with that being said, you have tons of diversity, and diversity is probably the best way for a coach to continue to learn later in their, career or whatever. Mm-hmm. So at least I think so. I think I just learn more from having all kinds of crazy clients.
Oh, yeah. Well, like even going into physical structure, like if I've got a girl that's got much wider hips and longer torso versus someone with much longer legs, like just, being able to, because then we don't pigeonhole ourselves into this corner. If we've only worked with girls with long legs and this is what's worked with them, and then we get someone that comes along with a longer torso and shorter legs, it's not necessarily going to work with them. So being able to spot these things is going to be invaluable, right? Especially if you've worked with someone with IBS, if you've worked with someone with migraines, you work with someone with it's just adding to the scope of practice. And then not only that, but we learn from our clients too. Like I know this is going a little bit off topic, but like I learned something from every single one of my clients, because they have something to teach you too. Because if they have, if they're on a certain type of blood pressure medication, and they can tell you and say, I remember when I added this blood pressure medication in, I started getting more headaches. It's like, oh, really? And so then they can tell you the mechanism behind that, and you can learn that for them. So then the next time that comes up, you can say potentially to your client, not definitively saying, hey, this and that, but I always ask what supplements and what medication are you on? And someone says, hey, I'm on this medication and I've been finding that I'm getting headaches. It's like, well, you know what? So as my other client said that too. So maybe that's something to talk to your doctor about, or something we need to take into consideration, because for like that goes back into the whole decisiveness thing too. We're not going to know everything, but being able then to outsource that, or even have like these little sheets of information as we go along, and we learn, being able to at least direct them steer them in the right direction on that, for sure.
Isn't it magical how it all ties together?
It all ties together, buddy. It's almost like we know what we're doing here a little bit. Yep.
Trying to at least sound like we do.
Yep. No, it's but geez, the plethora of information just over. Like I look back at like I'm what am I at here now on my I'll take a look really quickly on my phone, because every single year I get I'm on 6,642 notes on my notepad, and I think I go up by at least 500 notes a year on my notepad. It could be anywhere from little bits of information. Then I've got, I'll even go through some of them on here on the side of because I break them down into folders. It's like blogs and stuff, vitamins, bodybuilding science, exercises for therapy, great advice, how I coach, Instagram posts to make, just different stuff like that, because we get thrown so much stuff out here. And just like, not only are we always should the coach always be learning about not only coaching and training and nutrition and things like that, but we can learn so much from clients too. Is like, because like they're going to give you unique examples that you're not going to get anywhere else unless you have these case studies of things like that, and then it will end up being all able to tie together. I'll give one more example there of this exact scenario. Is that I had one girl years ago that switched from a birth control to one of those ones that you only get your period once every 3 months, because she was getting such bad period cramps monthly that it was just debilitating for her. And so I think it was called the Yasmin or whatever the heck it was called. And so she switched to this, but then before you know it, I think we were a week in to this new birth control, and before you know it, like her cravings for food stopped, but now all she wanted was peanut butter, and she had never experienced this before. And I was like, and so now my deductive brain immediately goes to, my analytical brain goes to, what did we change? And I was like, holy crap! Her name was Kate. I said, holy crap, Kate, was this when you started having that new birth control? She went, oh my God, you're right. And so then that was mind-blowing to us. And so I think, I forget if she stopped the birth control or went on to a different one. But anyways, a year later, I had a woman have the exact same thing. And she didn't tell me that she switched birth control, but she all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got this intense craving for peanut butter. And I said, did you happen to by chance change your birth control? Because she just wrote underneath her assessments that she was on birth control. So she goes, yeah, I did about a week ago. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. So there it was. And just like adding these little tiny things over the years can make or break your success as a coach. Not saying we need to know these stuff, but if we can somehow, some way, at least say, you know what, I've seen this before, and learn from this stuff, and not just be so close-minded to think it's our way or the highway, or we know everything and we're not open to learning these things, is just not how to do it.
Yeah, I love when I run into those situations too, because I kind of give myself a little pat on the back and like, see, I'm glad I banked that experience. I remembered it and I used it later.
Yeah, the analogy of the toolbox is just it, though, right? Like, because we got a little bit of time left here, but I remember, I think it was Scott or someone else I learned too. He was talking about how there was like a certification in TRX, like a TRX trainer. It's like, there's no such thing as a certification in screwdriver or a certification in hammer. Like, so why there's like a certification in dumbbell, but like how it was coming, it said, you don't need to you just need to know that you have this in there. It's like when kettlebell training was such a huge thing, and I'm not hacking kettlebell training, but it's like, that's like saying dumbbell training, or like saying machine training, is that is just a tool in the toolbox. And then you being able to think that you can solve everything with a kettlebell or solve everything with the hammer. I will tell you, I had some girls about when that was becoming a really big fad before CrossFit and other boot camps took off, was these kettlebell classes or kettlebell training. And I will tell you, for some people it worked really, really well. Other people, just due to their posture and whatever, their shoulders and how they were holding the kettlebell, just wrecked them and their wrists at the same time. So that was just going to show that not that hammer or the kettlebell was not meant for everybody, that it could be a tool in the toolbox. And I will tell you, I'll use kettlebells for like kettlebell slams, or sometimes for lunges or something, or sometimes like that. But just to have that be your only modality that you're using for training is just something that should not be existing, I don't think.
Yeah, 100%. I sense a post coming on. I'm writing this down. Never mind. I'm not going to tell you. I don't want to. I don't want you to.
Perfect.
Okay. You have one more for it, don't you? Last one.
Let's see.
Or
Yeah, sure. Well, it's I would even say, because I was really going off of only using just email and just using text for things here and there, but I've been adding in here and there, if it's needed, is adding in phone call check-ins here and there, especially if I know before a show. I've been adding in like a 30-minute just like to check up, because I learned this years ago, but I haven't been implementing it until now, because it started becoming a little bit more prominent. Was that my boy Eric Helms? I know I've shouted him out, I don't know how many times on here, but he was talking to me about video or audio in terms of being able to check in, especially around like we're getting into the deep hours of contest prep. And if someone writes to you, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm doing well, this and that, and then you get on Skype or you get on a phone call with them, and the tone that you thought you heard, because it's literally called textlation. I don't know if they added it to the dictionary yet or whatever, but textlation is how we interpret a text from a client, or how a client interprets a text from us. But then you get them on a phone call or Skype, and you hear, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, my energy's pretty good. And like, that's completely entirely different from me reading going, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, my energy is pretty good. And just having those check-ins here and there can make or break how someone is doing, because of course, as I'm sure you've had it too, people, there's a sense of duty there. There's a sense of placating the coach, and they don't want to, let the coach down or piss off the coach, or they might make it seem inflated or whatever. But having that extra little bit of contact there, I've been finding has been really helping out and been adding a lot of value to people now too. It's nothing crazy because this is online coaching, and I know that if I started getting 30-minute phone calls to everybody once a week, that would eat the heck out of my time up, and it's just not viable. It's just not needed in my opinion. But now at certain times, like especially if there's like a life crisis, or if there is a big event or a vacation coming up or something like that, that just being able to give that extra human touch, so it's not just someone behind a screen. Whereas also too, I remember when I first started putting out like how you do your Q&A podcast or videos too. I love that because now people get to see you, people get to hear you, and just like us now too with this podcast, people get to hear us and go, oh, that's how dumb Marty sounds, or that's how sexy Austin sounds, and they get to put the voices to the faces as opposed to just pictures or just some entity behind a computer screen. So that's something I would say I kind of picked up. I wouldn't say it just in 2019, but let's say the last year or so, probably since about last summer, summer of 2018, I've been really implementing that a little bit here, a little bit more here and there. And I can find that can really bring people back from the brink of either wanting to give up or feeling lost or feeling confused and just going, and every time I've done this, people are like, you know what? Thanks, Marty. I really, really appreciate that. And I needed that. So I've been finding that's something we'll probably keep continuing with.
Yeah, I use it. I'll use different stuff too, just kind of like an as needed basis, like you said, just because you will, and you get good at sensing stuff too. Get good at sensing something isn't quite how they tell you it is. They tell you it's one way, but it's really not.
Yep.
And you're like, I need a call or whatever. And frankly, I mean, hell, like I have 2 consult calls today with brand new clients, and their consults are just really freaking complex. I'm like, okay, I just need to jump on 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to literally have their consult open, and I'm going to type notes into it, for myself, because it's just quicker. In that case, the call is actually saving me time from a business standpoint. Mm-hmm. And when I'm doing the actual plan, but yeah, like you said, it's not, a lot of check-ins aren't going to be like necessary because we have the whole other, especially long-standing clients and stuff that are very much in that groove and very efficient. Yep. It maybe doesn't make as much sense for them, but there are certainly cases. I was one day out from my show, and I had couple contest prep clients that were having troubles with stuff. I was sitting in my hotel room eating, doing some various stuff. I'm like, hey, just jump on a video call with me real quick. I really don't even feel like typing on my computer and trying. Just jump on this video call. Let's do it. So yeah, I like that for sure.
Yeah. I think it adds a heck of a lot to it here and there, especially if we've been going for a long time. It's just like doing a check-in. It's like phoning a friend if you haven't. I've got some of my buddies back home in the East Coast, like just doing like a check-in once every 3 to 6 months, just getting a glorified "how are you really doing" type of thing, and just hearing their voice and being able to get that connection there can make or break their goals and their progress moving forward.
Cool, man. I think we nailed it.
Yeah, me too. Well, there you go. So there's some things that we've improved upon in the last this year or kind of the last year, and hopefully we'll be able to have some more. That just shows us that we're always trying to learn too, and we're always trying to bring new things to everybody. So from Marty and Austin here at the Mind Body Broadcast, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.